This is Varun Shekhar RC on an exciting journey with all of you so that we together can operate at our absolute best and lead a life of pure excellence. I hope you're all doing incredibly well, exceptionally well. So first of all, let me take a moment to thank all of you immensely for watching my first life transformation video on the concept of positivity and impact of aligning your thought process. If you haven't yet watched, I invite you and encourage you to please visit my YouTube channel Varun Shekhar RC and have a go at it. So today I'm taking you through another core habit that we all need to imbibe and cultivate so that our everyday becomes more meaningful and more happier. It's often more neglected, but it's extremely significant, be it at a personal level or at a professional level, and that's about communication. How to be a good communicator, how to be able to handle hard conversations, how to aim at proper communication when you speak up. I will take you through all of this and also suggest you some real-time strategies that you can implement so that your everyday becomes more meaningful and more happier. Please understand that this video is not about improving your communication skills in a particular language, but it's about communication in general and how to be able to handle hard conversations. So let's begin. All the legendary players, the game changers, the best in class people whom we have come across have one thing in common. They really are powerful communicators. Yes, they really are powerful communicators. Be it a hard conversation or a casual talk, they will never lose on communicating at the right time because they understand this simple principle that communication is far better than anticipation and assumption. Please remember it. I'll walk you through this a bit later, but understand for now that communication is far better and significant than anticipation and assumption. We always, more often than not, we tend to make our situations, our day-to-day situations more messier, more chaotic due to over negligence of communication and its significance, and eventually it will lead to a state of emotional disturbance. You might have observed, let us take some real-time examples, our day-to-day scenarios that we can relate. What I'm trying to encourage you is, say for example, if you're coming home late, please communicate. You do not lose anything. Or say for example, you are not able to attend the special dinner with your spouse for some genuine reasons, please inform or communicate. Or say for example, you are not able to complete your work within a stipulated deadline, please communicate to the concerned person or your manager. Or say for instance, you're not able to meet your partner for some reason, then have the discipline, the etiquette and the wisdom to inform that person beforehand instead of making him or her wait, or after that person coming halfway through and then go disappointed. It's really a bad thing. Please understand. Life is too short for all of us to waste and not to lead every single day to our absolute best. And if that has to happen, communication plays its own role, and it's very significant. And for that to happen, your mental state, your emotional state and your physical state must be balanced. And all so often lack of communication or miscommunication leads to a disorganization of your mind. You might have observed that when your mind gets disorganized due to lack of communication, your emotional state takes a toll, and when your emotional state takes a toll, your physical energy goes down, and when it happens, you will not be able to operate at your fullest potential. So I thought I would be sharing some insights, some real-time key strategies that it would be helpful, and so that you can ensure your relationship, be it at your personal level or at your professional level, to run smoothly and to lead a very happy life. So let's begin with these key points. Point number 1, if you have to be a good communicator, first learn to be a very good listener. Very important. At times we all tend to be very poor listeners. We all know that, be it speaking to our children or being with our parents, or be it with our manager or spouse, anybody for that matter, we do not listen to them. Instead, in that time, we just think as to what we should speak next rather than listening to them. Very bad thing. Deep listening is really an important aspect of communication, because communication cannot be just one way. You have to understand the views and perspective of the other person whom you are speaking to. Otherwise, your conversations are not going to be fruitful, and it's not going to be substantial. So please understand that if you have to be a good communicator, be a very good listener first, and at the same time, when you're listening, you're actually honoring the person whom you're listening to. So that's point number 1. Coming to point number 2, extremely significant. And what is that? Please speak up even when your voice shakes. Very significant, which I keep telling it to myself and to the people around me. In his personal mastery session, Robin Sharma says it so well. The conversations that we resist the most are the conversations that we need to have most. Very true. Society has taught us not to speak, or elders have told, don't speak, or people might laugh at you, or they may think you're weird, you may fail if you speak, or for some matter, if you speak wrongly, you might end up losing a relationship. All this fear of failure and fear of losing a relationship makes us not to speak, even in those circumstances when we really have to speak, and we tend to swallow our words. You might have observed this. Please stop doing that. Please speak up. So when I say speak up, it doesn't mean you have to raise your voice over the rooftop. You can always say it with calmness and politeness. Because when you actually do that, you're making a window for the person to open up. And when that happens, there are high chances that you're driving your relationship to a more stronger level. Because when you tend to shout at the person when you speak, they try to become defensive, and chances are that they would not open up. So very important, please speak up, and whenever you do that, always do it with calmness and politeness, which right away brings me to point number 3. You can say whatever you want as long as you say it with deep respect and love. Very important. Shed your egos. Whatever you have to communicate, be it with your children, be it with a small kid, or be it with your spouse, manager, client, customer, anybody for that matter, please speak up with respect and love. Shed that ego. Because do that. If the person at the receiving end, if he is really a wise person, he will definitely appreciate and honor you for doing that. If it is otherwise, do not worry, it's not your fault, you have done your bit. But always ensure that you speak up with deep respect and love. Which brings me to point number 4. Do not beat around the bush. What do I mean by this? Let your communication be clear. Whatever you communicate, let it be precise and right to the point. Do not do out of context talk. Understand the mission, the objective of the communication, and just speak right to the point. Because if you do otherwise, it's a waste of time, and it's not going to lead you or the person at the receiving end to any better level. Which brings me to point number 5, very significant, that is less anticipation and assumption and more communication. Another significant point which I keep trying to emphasize it to myself and people around me. What do I mean by this? Most of us are under the impression that my spouse, my manager, my parents, or the clients or people around me are born with the sixth sense, and they can assimilate and understand even if I do not communicate. Very bad thing. No, nobody here is born with a sixth sense. please stop it and please understand it. People have this mindset, why should I communicate to that person? Anyhow is going to understand it, or why should I tell it to her? Sooner or later he or she is going to understand. There's no point in telling it to her. No, let's keep it as it is. In future they are going to understand. No, really bad thing. Please stop that. Do not keep the person in the receiving and in the state of anticipation and assumption, because eventually it might lead them to a state of anxiety and confusion as well. You know why? Because we all would be operating under different circumstances and different times. So please understand, less anticipation and assumption and more communication. Which brings me to the last point. At certain times, how much ever you try, your communication or conversation does not end up smoothly. That happens most of the times. In such situations, just let it go. Yes, just let it go for that moment and you carry on with your next level of work for the day. Give it some space, give it some time. Eventually, definitely things will work out if your intentions are right and genuine. So what I am trying to suggest you with all these key points is that always when you aim at genuine conversations, proper communication, you do it with right intention, eventually it leads to a smoother relationship, be it at your personal level or professional level, so that you can lead every single day with more meaningfully and more purposefully and more happily. I hope you all like this video. It was very helpful. So please watch it and share it with people around you, so that all of us can operate at our absolute best and lead a life of pure excellence. So talk to you soon. Until then, lots of love and affection to all of you. All smiles and positive thoughts. Take care. Bye-bye.